All right, chat. I finally did it. I will explain everything. I watched Akira. So, why is this important? It's not. But ultimately, what happened was, many of you know, there was a charity incentive. Vinny finally watches an anime. Now, I did this to myself, but I was happy to finally raise money for charity in regards to anime. So, that's fine. And I picked Akira because I know a lot of people recommended it. And I didn't want to watch something that was so outside my comfort zone that it would turn me off. The term anime brings up a lot of vitriol, but also a lot of people get very territorial over it about what it means. It's just another medium to tell a story, right? However, I have a bias because on a lot of Sunday streams, I've seen a lot of bad anime stuff, and a lot of it's like high school drama, Pentsuchan, Bunny Usando, lots of like adult babies with big heads and like magic powers and just stuff that really wasn't for me. Like, I think Dragon Ball Z is cool. I like Toriyama's style, but it's just from an outsider, it's just bizarre. And like Boo has a weird like earthworm Jim head, and so for me, it just didn't happen. I never had a friend growing up that was like, Vin, you should check out anime. I never had good recommendations. No one locally had any interest in it. So finally, I've seen and played games, of course, with anime style. So I've definitely had some exposure to it, and I've heard there were really good ones like Cowboy Bebop, Akira, Ghost in the Shell. Okay, so charity incentive is met. I decide to watch Akira. Now, Ross wanted to check it out with me because he loves Akira, and I was happy to watch it with him. And we decided let's watch it in VR, and I thought that's a really cool idea. Problem is, I watched it in 2 parts because the theaters were killed by an update. But the movie theaters in VR chat are incredible. Like, I forgot I was in a movie theater at one point. So the first night, we found the most recent dub, which apparently the old dub had some embarrassing stuff. We did not find the subbed version. I would have been fine either way. Dubbed, subbed, doesn't matter. Probably to, preserve what it originally was, subbed would have been fine. But the dubbed version sounded good, so no problems. So we watch it, but we started watching it like 4 a.m. So that was a problem. So I ended up cutting it halfway as Tetsuo. There's pills. Let's put it that way. There's like right in the middle there, right? So I liked it. It was good. I'll tell you what I liked about it. But first, I'll just mention we found a better theater the second night that was much better. And it was me, Desert, Dave, Ross, Kiwi, Sphinx, and Norix. And we found a really cool VR theater. And it was a really cool way to watch a movie. The sound on the index is amazing, and I really had a good time watching it in VR. And you can hear people in the theater, like we would chat very mildly, not too much, just for certain moments there would be like a little bit of a comment here or there, but we mostly shut the fuck up for the movie. But it felt like I was in a theater with friends. It was really cool. Okay, so what did I think of the movie? That's the story. Now you know the circumstances. The movie itself was amazing. This is not, there was no high schools aside from some flashbacks. There was no, none of those weird tropes that I thought was going to be so prevalent in everything because of my bias, because of what I've seen, that's not there. It's a really good story about, of course it's a 2019 movie. It takes place in 2019. It's from 1988, I think, but it takes place in 2019, the same as Blade Runner. So you can see the DNA of Blade Runner in that movie, and then that movie has influenced other things. Like there's the elevator from Half-Life. It's in there, and apparently they designed it from one of the panels in the Mango. So I saw a lot of stuff that reminded me of Final Fantasy VII. And then I realized, Final Fantasy VII probably referenced this. So it's pretty influential. The animation is gorgeous. It's not like most of the anime that I had seen. Hand-drawn, really precise, really, really well done animation with some genuinely fucking technically impressive moments that occurred, like the hallway scene and some of the destruction stuff later on. I'm not going to spoil it because I don't think it's a good idea to spoil a movie that relies on you going in, you know, go in cold, figure it out yourself, because I didn't expect it to be such a big story. I mentioned in my Blade Runner commentary, which will be uploaded tomorrow, that it's a detective movie, you know, and it's a very small story in a giant city where you have Deckard hunting these replicants. It's more of a personal story with character arcs, right? Akira goes in very different direction, like the biggest possible direction. By the time the movie ends, I like, and like you absorb what's happened and you have to figure some of it out on your own. I'm like, oh, okay, this is fucking crazy. So I enjoyed that. I will mention A Meat Baby, which I couldn't believe the animation, but also just the idea of what I was watching and what it represented. And let's just say it has something to do with evolution. I was like, oh, this makes a pretty decent companion piece to 2001: A Space Odyssey. I never fucking thought I was going to say that about a movie or an anime or a cartoon or anything. I just didn't expect it. So, yeah, in that sense, the story was really good. The characters were pretty cool. Sometimes I had trouble telling some of the characters apart. I mean, I just couldn't keep up for some of it because there's a bunch of characters and I was like, wait, which one's this? Luckily, you can eventually figure it out. That's just the animation. That's just the drawing and the black hair. I tried my best, but eventually I got it. It's just, you know, there's a whole big biker gang too. So the idea of the focus around Canada and Tetsuo's biker gang, you know, early on, I was like, there's a lot of characters here. But it really gets understandable and it focuses on a couple characters so you can really like figure out who they are. It's got a lot of tropes that I probably have seen in a million things since and have probably happened before then, but it's done really well. And the music is really interesting. It's like a jungle kind of feel, which I didn't expect for a movie like this that takes place in a big derelict city, Neo-Tokyo. I was like, wait a minute, what? Oh, but that kind of makes sense. And it, you know, the juxtaposition, to use a big English major word, it worked. And it was bizarre and also kind of cool. So I enjoyed the soundtrack and the sound design. But yeah, just a really good sci-fi movie that tackles some really huge concepts. It left an impression on me. If I had seen that movie when I was younger, I definitely would have held it in high regard and it would have stuck with me even more than it is now. Because it again, it reaches pretty high. I thought, yeah, it was a great movie to watch. And if you, chat member, are upset by weebs, as some of you are, or you're like, oh, God, great, Vinny finally watched an anime, because I know that exists. There's the opposite of that, which is, Vinny, why not watch every anime? And that's just not going to happen. But I would say I'm glad I put my bias aside and watched this movie, because it is a good movie, and it's universal in many ways, and it's fucking crazy. There's some really crazy scenes that will stick with me forever. It's like, what the fuck am I looking at? Especially the last like half hour of the movie. It's gory. There's goblin babies. I mean, but also then I had to think about it for a while and figure out what I had just watched, and I think I understand what it was. And I'm pretty sure I get what they were going for with Akira himself and with Tetsuo and what had to be accomplished for there to be some resolution. So, brutal movie. Really good. I'm glad I watched it. And fantastic. People recommending more stuff. The only other thing I'm interested in at the moment would be Ghost in the Shell. I heard there's a Blu-ray version of that, you know, on the way. and it's gonna be like a good version. So I'm gonna wait for that, and then maybe I'll check it out. Maybe. Just don't mention it too much, chat. Let me figure it out on my own time. You know, like I have to discover things on my own, so I enjoy it. But I did really enjoy this, and I've heard Cowboy Bebop is amazing. I know Spike Spiegel. I know what's his name, Steve Bloom does the voice, but I'm not planning on watching that anytime soon. I've heard it's great though. So that's my review. It was a good charity incentive. I'm glad I completed it, and it's a movie I won't forget anytime soon. Great shit. Vinny, you have now guaranteed people will spam you with requests. I mean, I can just not read them. But regardless, though, I appreciate that people want to share the things they love with me as I do with them. That's what this is. It's me playing games, talking about movies and shows and stuff I love. But I'm only one person, and if I feel like there's so much to discover in a thing or a genre or whatever, I tend to be a little overwhelmed, and I just stick with what I know. And if it's a weird pushiness, I tend to fight back against that because it gets annoying, especially on the scale of me versus 5,000 people in chat or more. So, listen, I understand you mean well, but I really need to take my time with stuff and figure out what I like and get there on my own. That's one of the reasons, truthfully, I set this as a charity incentive. I knew it would be a kick in the ass to finally watch a good movie, and I'm glad I did. Calling occupants of interplanetary, most extraordinary something. Hang on, I'm setting up Paper Mario. And once again, the Blade Runner commentary will be on YouTube tomorrow, and you'll get my insights in that movie. And maybe in the same way that, you know, some of you feel about Akira, if you haven't checked out Blade Runner, maybe if you watch it, I wouldn't recommend you watch or listen to my commentary if you're watching the movie for the first time. I would probably watch the movie first and then check out my commentary in the future, but I think you'd enjoy it. You might not like the movie as much as I do, but eventually, you know, if you watch it a couple times, it really sticks with you. Okay, next commentary movie will be 2001: A Space Odyssey, where I try to tell you that the monolith is in fact a Nintendo Switch screen turned vertically. Oh, truthfully though, if you love Akira, check out 2001. It's a 1968 movie that sometimes feels like it's like kind of contemporary. Like, it's amazing. It's really fucking good. Some of the stuff in that movie still looks as good as stuff I've seen recently, and that's definitely up there in my favorites. So, like I said before, I don't think it's a bad idea to watch those two movies back to back, but that's just my opinion. Hang on a second, I'm almost done here.